All right, I call this
It's
meeting to
turning.
order. Has everybody had a chance to read over the minutes from last meeting? Any discussion?
Who's making the motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the secretary's report.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstaining? The ayes have it. Okay, treasurer's report.
Chris, do you want to give the treasurer's report? Can you talk
I
about?
sent the treasurer's report online, and the only interest this month, let me find my treasurer's report. If you look at the treasurer's report, it says that we've spent $7,778, which leaves $11,500 of budgeted money left over. The town of Fairhaven only sent us $74,000, which leaves a balance of $1,234 that they're owed. And so because there seemed to be a discrepancy, and she didn't answer my question, but she said 7,000 are, and
You're coming in and out.
encumbered money, because those expenses had to go through the way she does it. But I don't know, because but she did, the town owes us $24,800.
Is it $834? 24,800. How much is it? 24,000.
It's in the upper right-hand corner. It's
Okay,
$1,834.
24,834. Thank you, Chris.
Which is the fourth quarter of the tax.
Which is the fourth quarter.
I was doing it over email, so I will get in touch with her next week to track this out. But now I've lost it, so that.
So do we have, so we have to encumber, obviously, those funds, because that's part of our, to June 30th budget,
And
and we have bills
won't-
coming in.
We're gonna spend a bunch of money, we're gonna spend a bunch of money in June. There won't be
Right.
$24,000 worth.
Right. But we still want to encumber anything. Because that, we don't, it'll be 3 more months before we get another allocation
That's
from,
right.
from the town.
And what was it last year? It was late September
Yeah.
when we got it.
Right, it was very late.
It was, yeah, really late, because we were getting a little nervous.
It was late September before we got the installment?
Yes.
Last year, yes.
Wow. Let me call Terry next week, and that's the bookkeeper, the accountant.
The accountant.
Okay.
Yeah, I left her a message today and asked her when we could expect that fourth quarter allotment. And she
So
hasn't
she-
gotten back to me. So she knows we're looking.
So one of us will hear from her.
Yep. Yep. So I will move that we encumber any remaining funds for operating expenses and repairs.
I'll second.
Any other discussion on it? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
She didn't oppose, she
Yeah,
she eyed
it's the
late.
delay.
Yeah.
The ayes have it.
Encumber funds. So Jenny, do you know what encumbering funds means?
Not completely.
Okay,
I'm assuming
so
that you're
if you
taking-
don't spend them, you send them back?
Okay.
So when we encumber them, then we say because they're giving us our fourth quarter right at the end of the fourth quarter, so we'll have all this money left. And that helps to pay for the operating expenses
Until
between
we
now,
get-
so that you can get paid, you know, and we also have been encumbering funds because the projected cost of the repair for the masonry work is about $125,000. And that's last year's money. I don't know what that is in this year's money, but my guess is it will be more, yeah. I will move that we accept the treasurer's report as written.
I'll second.
We just did that, didn't we?
No, we encumbered funds.
Correct. We encumbered funds.
Yeah.
Any discussion?
Is there anything that's sticking out that we should be aware of?
Need a second.
I see fuel with.
Yeah.
The only other thing is that Carol's numbers usually are lower than Amy's numbers. Amy gave me the numbers as of the 31st of May last day, and Carol does hers like on Saturday. So she may have a better idea of where we actually stand.
Okay. Carol, how much
We're
difference do you
spending a
have?
lot. I mean,
spend-
because we got those computers,
Right,
and that was 2,700 for the computers alone. And let's not forget, we're gonna have Matt come. And I'm gonna, I have it in my report, gonna have Matt, update our other computers because they're all Windows 10. But I was kind of, waiting until the library gets its credit card, because I didn't really want to put that, because that renews every year. So I thought it would be better if it went on the library credit card. So I don't know where we stand on that.
with the credit card? Okay.
We have
You-
to have a,
Talk
We have to have
about
a
it.
we have to
motion.
talk about it. and
Okay.
We'll do that after
Okay.
your report. Or
Okay.
before your report.
Okay, that's fine. But that's, but then my husband said, well, you could get a 30-day free probably with the computers so that we can use them. But it's just, because already WordPress, which is where we have our
Website.
website, and Zoom are under mine, and so that's gonna change. Yeah, and if it doesn't, we'll see it and we'll come knock on the library door and say. So it'll be fine, but I just don't want to get too much more stuff.
Right.
Are we doing my report now?
As
so-
soon as we approve
Okay.
the motion on the floor.
Yes. All those in favor of accepting the treasurer's report as written?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Let's do the library's report.
Okay. We were open 21 days in May. I was off for 12 hours. I had 8 hours vacation and 4 hours sick, but I wasn't really sick. My daughter fell off a horse and really got hurt, so I couldn't come that night. She's fine now, thank God. She's got some broken bones. The circulation was 695, which is a little bit less, but notice the digital. The digital's back up to 225, where it was in the 80s for each of those last time, which would have been 160 something, so it's up a lot again. Interlibrary loans, we did 11 for our patrons. We sent out 30. Overdue notices have not changed. We haven't done them again since April. Probably be another month or so before we do that. New acquisitions, we got 38 new books, and the breakdown is there. We are reading a lot of books. We have been 167 to 67. So it looks like altogether 271 books, between adult fiction, DVDs, and mysteries, this time. Residents, we had 3 new residents get library cards, and we had 2 non-residents get cards. Internet uses, the public access computers, 23, 11 with the Wi-Fi inside, but you gotta remember, that's not accurate at all, because people are sitting on the steps, people are out in the parking lot, so we really, don't know. But as far as people coming in and using the library with their computers, there were 11. Petty cash is there. Volunteer hours were 136 this month. Genealogy Club didn't meet for the month of May. The Friends of the Library held a book sale on Saturday, May 4th. It was a dud, a real dud. They made $18. I felt so bad for them, but too many things going on. It's why our circulation is down in May. People are going to T-ball games and have all sorts of and other things that they have to do. So I forget the things that were going on that Saturday.
That was
but
Green Up.
That was the Green Up Day.
Free Comfort
And
Day and all
blue.
Yard sale
All,
somewhere.
yeah, all kinds of things were going on that day.
Yeah, so they only made $18.
And it was raining.
Doesn't it every Saturday? That's what it does. 7 book club members met to discuss Bloomsbury Girls on the 12th of May. Dan Gray worked on the lights May 12th, May 19th. Work was completed and the key was returned on the 21st. Yeah, so he returns the key and I go outdoors and the light's out there. And I'm looking at it, I was going, that light's not on. So I go back in and I call and I put a message on his machine and I said, Dan, the light's out outside the library. You got any ideas about that? Well, the very next day that the library is open, he comes down and he goes, well, Carol, I changed the light bulb. I said, oh, I didn't think of that because we have new plugs in the front room on the floor. We have new floor plugs there. We have a new system in that big light up in the front, the one that hangs down. We have 2 new lights outside, and they both work now. And we had a bill. Is that us?
No, that's, I'm gonna mute her for a minute.
Which was rescued in another part of Kosovo, female bear, and
Are we speaking English?
that day they found
Yeah.
their
This
mistake.
is garbled.
Chris, we're getting some feedback from you. Is that,
Somebody talking in the background?
Maybe.
You muted yourself, not her.
yeah.
Like,
No. Okay, I muted Chris for the time being.
Okay, so that bill's over $1,000. So we are definitely going over in repairs because we had the roof work done that was $3,500, and then John had to come a few times and shovel the roof. I mean, stuff that you just have no idea. So, when things happen, you have to fix it.
them.
Right. So, repairs will definitely be over because of that.
So you think it's gonna be over $1,000 for the
Well, I
electric?
know that his bill is 1,100 something. Is that what it was? Yeah, we just got it.
Oh, sorry.
They're looking for you. They're looking for you.
I don't know, it's spam probably. I forgot I even brought it, I don't usually even bring it. Oh God, it's my heart calling Armin.
Oh. So the take and make for May was a star magnet. 52 of them were distributed. So that means we have like 8 extra ones. We'll just put them out for 4th of July and they'll go then.
Yep.
Summer programs are all set up. You've probably seen it on social media.
There'll be an article in the paper coming out.
Yep, we got rock painting on the 24th of June, which is to finish the snake that was started by, was it the Itty Bitty Committee?
Itty bitties.
Yep, so the Itty Bitty started it, and so the kids are gonna finish it on the 24th. We have 4 weeks of story time in the month of July, and then the VINS program that's Monday, July 28th. So, and we received our summer grant money. Last time I said it was coming, we actually got the check. So Mary Kay scheduled that VINS program. It's Monday, July 28th. Grant's gonna cover the cost of the program. Friends are paying the mileage, and I've got the amounts there. I did purchase a new laptop and a new desktop. They should arrive soon. And then Matt's gonna set them up and upgrade our older machines because we need to go to Windows 11 on those other computers. Yeah, because I think is it in October that they're not gonna support 10 anymore. Chris and Seal called Green Mountain Clean. We were talking about things that need to happen in the library. And we haven't had the rugs cleaned in a while. And I have to say, Danny and Hugh do a fabulous job. They really do. And I mean, if Danny sees a spot, she's got the spot cleaner. And so they really look pretty good, but it's good every once in a while to have them come in and do a deep clean on the rugs. So they asked me when I thought would be the best, and I said July 3rd, because Friday the 4th of July we're off. And so I'm requesting that we be closed Saturday the 5th of July, and then that'll give, and not just I have on there to fully dry the rugs, but we also have to put the furniture back, you know, because stuff gets moved so they can, so I was hoping that you would make a motion and close on the 5th. I don't think we would be busy that day anyway. Everybody's doing 4th of July stuff. I had a Saturday.
I will move that. Seal moved. We close July 4th,
5th. We're closed
July
the 4th.
5th. We already closed the 4th.
Right.
Right.
July, yeah, we're closed the 3rd, 4th, and 5th.
Yeah.
No, the
Because the
third
third
is,
is
the third is a
Thursday.
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 So we're always
We're
closed
always
on
closed,
Thursday.
that's why I
So,
picked it, it's
we'll
good.
close July 5th to allow carpet to dry.
Yep.
It's a holiday weekend anyway.
Yeah, well, a couple weeks ago the last time I worked on Saturday, I checked out 8 books on Saturday. You know, it's a busy time of year, and this will be, I told Jenny she's starting at the absolute busiest time. The month of July is our busiest month of the year, July and August, so she's gearing up.
So I moved that we close July 5th to allow the carpet. We need a second.
I'll second.
Oh, and I also said there, Carl.
We have to vote first, Carol.
Okay,
please.
sorry.
All
I'm
those,
moving it along, come on, people.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
I'm gonna unmute Chris so she can,
Hi.
Hi
The ayes
there.
have it. Thank you. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so Carl, they're gonna come at 9 o'clock on July 3rd. Carl's willing to let them in. I know we will be done, but we've done it before, and stuff has to be moved around for them, and we know
How to do it.
how to do it. Yep. So we will do that, and then Danny and Hugh will put the stuff back when they clean over the weekend. At least I think she will. I'm quite sure they will. I haven't asked her, but I know because they've done it before. Jenny started on Wednesday, May 28th. She's getting a quick overview of everything, and she's doing great, absolutely great. She has a great memory, which is wonderful.
Look at notebook.
Yeah, yeah, she's taken a lot of notes, but it's going really well. And on here I have updates. It would be grant opportunities, policies, and bylaws. And the next meeting would be August 6th, because we don't have a meeting in July.
Do we need to have a meeting in July just to touch base because of all of these?
I don't think so. I think we could probably connect through emails if necessary.
Okay.
And then if it warrants a meeting, then we'll do a special meeting.
Okay.
I think it would give Jenny a chance, because she just this week saw what we do for a meeting. She's getting the quick look at it. And so I told her she'll have those, because she doesn't have to get ready for a July meeting right that first week in July, or she would have that time to do her July report, and then if she has any questions, she can ask me. And
Or June and July reports.
it will be the June, yeah, it'll be June statistics. She'll have the June statistics that she can work on in July, and then the August ones before the August meeting, because she has a vacation the last week in July anyway, so I think it would be all right not to have a meeting in July. Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have business, but,
Well, you know, that's the start of the fiscal year, July 1. So we usually try to take care of all the business in June, so that,
And it also takes Amy a little while to get those
end of the year
end of
reports.
the numbers anyway, so it is a good time to take a
Right.
break.
It takes at least 2 or 3 weeks
You're
for
right.
everything to come back from the bank,
Right.
and then she has to reconcile all those numbers.
Right.
So about, I know we have grant policies and bylaws, but do you guys want to talk about the credit card that? So
I talked to Amy, and I assumed that Amy could apply for a credit card, but she said she didn't think she could because she was an employee and not a trustee. So I just went to M&T Bank because we have some CDs there. They need 2 years of financial statements, which I'll have to get from Amy, and I haven't discussed it with Amy yet. They need the bylaws, which we've got typed up, and Seal has a copy there. Remember, we signed a copy, but it wasn't appropriate, so I redid it.
I'm going to pass that around as you're talking, Chris.
We need to have meeting minutes from the board or an authorization letter from the company treasurer that provides authority for the signer to seek funding on behalf of the entity. The authorized signer must be named in the documentation provided and must match the signer on the application. They require at least one individual to act as the signer on behalf of the nonprofit. The organization is held liable for the debt, not the signer. My feeling is that we have 2 signers. And I think Jenny needs to be a signer because she's going to be using this credit card, and I would be willing to be a signer as the treasurer. So Seal's got a copy of this specific information to put in the minutes, but we need a motion to have that, don't we?
Yes. I think what they want is a motion that says we want to apply for a credit card for the Fairhaven Free Library. We'll have to list Jenny and Christine Sheldon and, are you Jennifer? Jennifer Jackson as the signatories.
Authorized signatures.
Yep, the authorization.
Yeah,
And,
that's basically it.
okay,
And
so that's what I just, and we will send them 2 years of financial statements and our bylaws.
I'll do that next week. I'll get a hold of Amy and get that from her, and then all I have to do is meet with Tara Buxton, and I think it will be pretty clean. I mean, it'll take a couple days. It'll take a while to get the card itself, but I think what will take the time is getting the financial statements from Amy.
So is this gonna be a bank card? Is it Visa, is it MasterCard, is it a bank card?
I haven't, so I assume it would be Visa,
Okay,
but I don't know that. I didn't ask that question.
okay.
I'm just curious, why is it so
I mean,
difficult to get a
I
credit
kinda
card?
just went and did this on my own and didn't really know what I was getting into. But
Candy.
it seems to me better to have a credit card with a local entity, so we have somebody to talk to.
Right.
And it would be either be this bank or or Community Bank. If you want me to go to Community instead, I can do that. I know Tara
And the
um,
requirements will be the same at both banks.
I would assume so.
Because Paul asked, why is it so difficult? And it's difficult because we're an organization, not an individual.
Okay,
And to start with, it has to be discussed in a meeting with minutes talking about it.
We have to do that for everything.
Having
Like
a motion and seconded and voted on with all the names that are gonna be required to be
okay.
on them.
Seal, you've got to have seek funding on behalf of the entity written in there somewhere.
Seek funding. On behalf of the Fairhaven Public Library.
Right. And then name the authorized signatures.
I have that, yeah, Public Library.
I mean, this is all assuming Jenny is willing to do this.
Jennifer Jackson. Well, and I think it makes Jenny happy when she reads the library is liable for the debt and not Jenny.
That makes me happy too.
And it's
I'll-
Christine Sheldon.
And I'll have to get, I think, Jenny, I will probably need
Pardon me?
your number and a birth date from you, but I'll reach out.
I think it's probably best if
Do that
Jennifer
out.
and you both go to the bank. And they might require that, I'm not sure, but just in case,
With the minutes.
yeah, because usually you
You
have.
might require that.
Yes, because when
Yeah.
we've gone to the bank for any kind
They
of
will-
signatory,
they will
you have to
require
be
that.
there, you have to be there with a picture ID. It has to have your
Yeah.
correct spelling on your ID and on, in the minutes. So, yeah, they're
Yeah.
very, they don't want people to, steal the credit card. You know, that information, so. All right, so there is a motion on the floor from me, that we seek funding on behalf of the Fairhaven Public Library to apply for our credit card. And the two signatories, or the two, what do we, I always call them signatories, but what did you call them, two signers?
Authorized signature, says the authorized signer must be named in the documentation and must match the signer on the application.
And it
That
will be
true.
Jennifer Jackson and Christine Sheldon. We need a second?
Second.
All those in favor, or wait a minute, any other discussion?
It'll be, well, we're doing things a little differently, but, yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All those opposed? Any abstaining? The ayes have it.
Can I just say something before, are we finished with credit card?
Yes, we're finished with credit card.
So Laura, is it,
We lost you, Chris.
hey, this lady, Laura reached out to me and said that Mike Johnson, I don't know, it's not Mike, it's whatever
Tim.
Johnson,
Tim,
Tim Johnson?
is in Polney, is going out of business, he's moving, and he is willing to donate 2 bicycles to the library.
Yes. I think it's Johnson and Son.
Concerned about the storage of the bicycles.
Yeah.
So I just have to get back whether we want the bikes or not.
So I think there's a couple of questions about the bikes. when they said something about donating 2 bikes, and a helmet and, something else.
And you're not donating the helmet. The helmets cost, in the last, I just got, the helmets would cost money, the bike locks would cost money.
Okay, so, my
But you're
que-
gonna say liability.
well, liability is one issue, but when I first said they were willing to donate bikes, I said, oh, good, we can raffle them off for money.
And I don't think that's his intent.
Okay, so, cause that was my big question. The second question was, of course, liability, we'd have to have them sign waivers, like other libraries do. But I also worry about we don't really have a storage place for them. I mean, there's a bike rack out there, but I don't want the librarian to be responsible for bringing the bikes downstairs every day, and I really don't want to put them in the lift. They're they're too big for the lift. So,
I mean, I can just tell her that it doesn't work.
yeah,
She reached out to me and asked me about this and was all excited, and
Yeah.
so I felt I needed to present it to the board.
yeah,
If
so,
we were on the rail trail, Pulteney and Castleton are both right on the rail trail. Plus, they have more space to store, so they have them, but we're not.
well, they have a ground level door.
Right? Yeah.
So they're not, bringing them up or downstairs.
Right.
Because we don't have any place in the little entryway to really store them.
If we had a shed, that would work.
Yeah, and I would just say that we thank Johnson and Sons for thinking of us, Laura and Johnson's. But I don't think it's gonna be a possibility for us to offer that, in our library, just because of storage and liability.
What if we had a raffle without charging money? So we're not making any money, but a raffle to give the bike away to.
That wasn't his intent. His intent is for usage.
For the library to have it and use it.
So, Chris is gonna contact Laura. Yeah, that's what I thought. He was giving us a bike lock and a helmet, or 2 actually, and then, we lost Chris. But, big storage liability. So no to the bags. Yes, to me, the storage was the big
Storage is
issue.
big,
I mean, you could
And
have
then-
people sign a waiver, and we do have insurance, but yeah,
Because we have people sign waivers for the snowshoes too, but it's storing them and also maintaining them.
Yep.
If he's moving,
Yeah.
he was really great about maintaining, like I know he maintained Pulteney's and,
yeah,
when the chain falls off, what do you do?
yeah, I don't know bike repairmen, so. So, Chris, I don't know if you heard me, but you're going to get a hold of Laura Padroni and graciously thank her and Johnson and Son,
It
but,
works.
yeah, Bike Works.
But I will, my phone quit out just as you were saying that stuff,
Yeah.
and now it's back on again. So I'll just tell them that we don't seem to have the ability to manage the bikes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, we don't have, I mean, if we had a ground level where you just pulled them into the room back here, that's one
Yeah.
thing, but we don't.
Yeah, okay, I'll talk to her. And I can ask her about the raffle idea,
Yeah,
tell her that we're in the process of looking for money for this stuff, and just see
And if they
what's
didn't,
into that.
if they didn't want to do that, like, it would be kind of fun to raffle, use it for the summer program or for the kids, or,
Sure.
do that kind of, a free raffle,
Right.
so ask her if that's, a free raffle. We won't make money. If we could raffle 2 off during the summer program, so when the bins is here, or every time, or all the students who enter book reading challenge or whatever, but any, you know, any student, or, you know, child
That way the kids would have the opportunity to get the bike.
right,
Okay, I'll ask her about that.
okay? You know, we wouldn't make money, but that would be a, you know, we would,
Oh, no, wait, sorry, I don't quite follow it.
well, so,
You mean just put the kids' names in, they don't pay anything,
No,
but they get a bike?
right, because we can't raffle with kids. You can't charge kids. You have to be 18 to
fine.
gamble.
or yeah, at the VINS program or, you know,
Yeah,
through the summer, just have people put their
every
names.
time they come to a program or something, they get
put their-
another,
Yeah.
they get
can put
another
their
thing.
name in.
ticket.
Yep,
Right. Okay, that's a really good idea, because that way we're not making any money on the bike, and he might be open to that.
Right.
Okay,
okay. Yeah, see, I didn't think he was open to a raffle, but, well, we can ask. All I can say is no.
then we've got to decide about, Jenny's salary and vacation.
Yeah,
and
that will,
sick
that
days.
will be in a, executive session.
Okay,
The other thing we have to do is,
Any updates on the grant?
updates on the grant. Chris and I sent it in,
And now we wait.
and now we wait.
Right.
It was so funny
it's gonna be
because,
in the month of July,
yeah, so,
it will be quick.
yeah, and she did write me. She did say she received it. She said that I sent plenty of information,
Good.
that I didn't really need to prove that we were a municipal library, although I did find the deed.
Danny.
Danny found the deed. I sent her, you know, we sent the historical, you know, our paperwork on, we are on the National Historic Register. And she said, Seal, I trust you. And I go, well, that's the first time I've ever applied for a grant where they said, oh, we trust you. So it pays to, you know, to do the work, you know, because now we have all that at our fingertips. So, but we did find the deed to the library. This land was deeded in 1905.
Right.
The library was built in 1906. We are a municipal library.
And the name of the library is Fairhaven Public Library.
When I went online to get our unique number, that's what they have us listed as, Fairhaven Public Library, so yes. But you know, it's, Fairhaven, we've always called it the Fairhaven Grade School. It's been the Fairhaven Graded School. But you know what? The state of Vermont says it's Fairhaven Elementary School.
Yeah.
So we call things you know, how we've always called it, and we have it in letters across this library and the school.
Right.
But that's not how we're listed in federal documentation. So when you're applying for a federal grant, you use their,
And I think our sign-on for our Wi-Fi is Fairhaven Free Public Library, I think, or it might be just Fairhaven Public Library.
Right.
Yep.
but that's how they have us, Fairhaven Public Library. Did everybody get a copy of the library personnel thing? I mean, we can talk about this because there's no money attached. This is a public policy for the library. Did everybody get this that Carol sent them? But I thought, you know, we could just read through it. We don't have to, you know, we should warn it anyway, at least a month before we
Adopt
vote,
it,
adopt any policy. The last personnel policy was in 1986, but I did find it, and I found my file folder full of all the policies, and it was incredibly outdated.
Right.
So, when I showed it to Carol, she said, let me work on this.
Right, and so, and certainly it's a start. I mean, if you want to change things, if you want it differently, but at least it looks a little more
Yeah.
up to date.
21st century.
Right.
So, under library personnel, the library director shall be hired by the Board of Trustees following a thorough recruitment and interview process. The board will ensure that the selected candidate meets the qualification and experience required for the position. All other library staff shall be hired in collaboration between the library director and the Board of Trustees. The library director may recommend candidates for hire, subject to approval by the board. And all newly hired employees, including the library director and other staff, shall be subject to a probationary period of 3 months or 90 days, beginning on the date of hire. During this period, performance and suitability for the position will be evaluated. Employment may be terminated at any time during the probationary period if performance or conduct is deemed unsatisfactory. Does anybody have any comments about those?
That's pretty much basic.
Pretty basic, I think.
How about mentioning the fingerprinting in the
Well,
background?
that's a really great question, because Chris has really been working on that. So, to be able to have someone fingerprinted, you need an account. And so that's a lengthy kind of process. And Chris is still waiting to hear back, because when she applied for us, we got a question back from them, an email back from them asking us if why do we need to have somebody fingerprinted, and we replied that they work with.
You have to be working with a vulnerable population, and they wanted to know why we thought we were a vulnerable population. So I ran it by seal, and I just wrote things like, we have elderly volunteers, we work with the elderly, we work with children, meaning that they use our services. I think I used that word verbiage. That we had programs that children came to both in the evening and during the day, and they haven't gotten back to us yet, have they, Carol?
No. We haven't gotten anything back since then.
And even though we're not a daycare, and we say right in our other policies we're not daycare, you still have charge over an elderly population as volunteers.
And it did say that it would take several days so like if they thought what I wrote was appropriate and they were going ahead with the process, that was going to take a few days. See, the deal is that the town has a code, and they won't let us use their code. And see, the school has a code. So in my experience, you just went in and got your fingerprints done, and you were done with it. And we couldn't even, Jenny and I went and we got to the police. Took Jenny a week to get to the police. And then the man said, but you need this code on here. And I said, well, where do we get that code? He said, well, you better call this agency in Vermont and get your own code. And so that's what we're doing.
So we didn't put that in the policy because we're not, we can add that, but right now, we don't know.
Yeah, 'cause
So-
I mean, we don't even know if they're going to tell us that we are supposed to have this or not.
So,
We made the assumption. See, okay, so I thought the fingerprinting was separate from a more involved background check, but it turns out it's all one thing. So I've learned a lot in the last month.
so this is going to cost money to get this code?
I don't know. It didn't say that.
No.
It did not say that.
And I,
It costs $25 to get the the fingerprints, which I've already written that check.
Right.
And, so we shall see.
I know at the senior center, we had to, all of our drivers had to have background checks. And that cost us nothing. And that's the complete background check because they're, taking people on the bus. But yeah. So yeah, it costs nothing. It costs the, the senior center nothing.
Okay.
And did you have to get a background check when you were doing that,
Yes,
that trades,
yes,
expo?
right.
So
I
they're getting more aware of having background checks. So we shall see.
Yep. So your responsibilities, Jenny.
Okay.
The library director is responsible for the overall administration, leadership, and day-to-day operations of the library. This includes supervision of staff and volunteers to ensure high-quality library services that meet the needs of the community. Core responsibilities include library services and user support. You will oversee the organization and accessibility of library materials through effective classification, cataloging, and shelf arrangement. Manage the circulation of materials to ensure users can borrow resources conveniently. Provide reference and informational services to help patrons locate needed information. Offer personalized guidance to support individuals in selecting and using educational and recreational materials. Community outreach. Assist civic, cultural, and educational organizations in identifying and utilizing library materials to support program planning and community initiatives. Board collaboration. Attend all Library Board of Trustees meetings and provide regular reports on library operations, staffing, services, and strategic initiatives. Budget management. Collaborate with the Board of Trustees to prepare and administer the annual library budget. Ensure responsible fiscal management, monitor expenditures, and seek additional funding opportunities through grants, partnerships, or donations when appropriate. Collection development. Direct the selection, acquisition, and weeding of library materials to maintain a relevant, diverse, and balanced collection that reflects the informational, educational, and recreational needs of the community. Strategic planning. Lead long-range planning efforts in coordination with the Board of Trustees to establish goals, assess community needs, and develop strategies for continuous improvement of library services and facilities. And then serve as the primary liaison to the Friends of the Library. Support and coordinate collaborative efforts such as fundraising events, advocacy, and special programs. Ensure clear communication and alignment between the library's goals and the activities of the Friends organization. Paid time off,
No,
or PTO,
no.
not parent-teacher. The library director, working 28 hours per week, is eligible for paid time off, which combines vacation and sick leave into a single leave bank. Paid time off provides flexibility for time away from work for vacation, illness, personal matters, or other absences. PTO accrual. Upon completion of a 90-day probationary period, the library director will accrue 84 hours of PTO annually to be granted at the beginning of the fiscal year, which in our case is July 1. After 5 years of continuous service, PTO accrual increases to 140 hours annually. Paid time off may be used for vacation, illness, personal time, or medical appointments. Planned use of PTO should be requested in advance and is subject to board approval to ensure operational coverage. For unplanned absences, the library director should notify the board chair or designated contact as soon as reasonably possible. Unpaid leave. If all accrued PTO is exhausted, the library director may request unpaid leave for personal, medical, or family reasons. All unpaid leave requests must be submitted in writing and approved by the Board of Trustees. Extended unpaid leave exceeding 10 consecutive workdays may require a temporary staffing or leadership plan to be determined by the board. Library recognized holidays as stated in the bylaws. When a recognized legal holiday falls on a scheduled working day, The library will be closed and the library director will receive regular pay for that day. Do we have that listed in the bylaws that we just signed? I think we put in Juneteenth and all that.
And Martin Luther King Day, Juneteenth, and we're closed Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and the day after Christmas. And we're closed the Wednesday night before Thanksgiving. So those are the holidays that I think are listed in there, plus 4th of July and Veterans Day. Columbus Day, I guess we're back to Columbus Day.
Right.
So,
But, you know, because not every, like, the
They don't-
town is open on June 19th because it's the first day of the concerts.
uh-huh.
So, I'm not, I just wanted to make sure we do have all the federal holidays
I
listed.
think I haven't seen it since Chris updated it, but we talked about that.
Okay. If not, we can,
It should be in that
Can
paper
amend
you
that.
guys just signed.
yeah, it's in here.
Yeah.
And last, travel and expenses. The library director will be reimbursed for any pre-approved expenses related to library business travel. This includes costs such as transportation, lodging, meals, and registration fees consistent with the library's budget and reimbursement procedures. All travel expenses must be documented with receipts and submitted in accordance with the library's expense reporting guidelines for reimbursement.
We budget a whopping $50 for that a year at this
She hardly
point.
ever uses that.
I don't think I didn't ever use it, but,
Now, that could mean going to like a library conference in.
right,
in
up to
Burlington.
Killington. I mean, the last library, yeah, was at Killington, or even, I was telling Jenny that Rutland County librarians meet kind of quarterly, usually. And it's worthwhile to go to those meetings so that you can connect with the other librarians and you don't feel so out of touch. You know, you can talk about things that are going on and problems that you have in your library, and you'll see that they're having the same struggles. The other thing you might use, I think now all the courses that you're going to take are going to be Zoom, I think. But then they'll probably give you a certificate when you're done, and you might want to go to that. So, but I mean, definitely change that any way I mean, it was just
So why don't we table this till we don't meet in July, so
Table it till August.
till August.
That way
You know,
you-
now that we've had a read through and just think about the different things that we might wanna.
Add or take out.
Is that it? Can I move us into executive session?
One last thing, I talked with Richard Combs about the door. He's in the middle of a large job, and he'll probably be done with it by the end of June, sometime in July. When I get back from Italy, I will call him and we will get together and figure out exactly when we can get going on it. So
and
I
I'll
told
come down
him
with my lawn
before,
chair. Lost you guys.
I told him
I'm so
before the snow
excited.
flies. As long as we get it done before the snow flies.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah, that's right.
And we haven't heard anything from the two,
No, from the two bricklayers, I did get in touch with them, and one of them, I do not remember their names, but one of them is starting a job in Poultney. No, sorry. One of them is starting a job in Middlebury last week. And he said sometime when he's on that job, he'll take time out to come down here and assess the building. He said he would let me know, but hopefully he does. And then I think I was gonna get in touch with the bricklayer, the other bricklayer, when I got back from my trip.
Yeah.
Just to see where he's at.
to see if he can, but I mean, we've contacted them, so. And there are only 3 that are approved in the state of Vermont, so our 3
Bids.
bids have to come from those 3 folks, so.
And what, did they ever get back to you about the sprinkler, whether we need to have that head fixed?
No, I
or
have not gotten
They
anything back
haven't,
from
no.
them.
I
I can
was a
contact him again to
That
see.
was a really good report. The report itself was
I mean,
pretty
the
comprehensive.
passed,
Yeah,
but on the inspection
Yeah.
sheets, he's got the fail.
yeah,
But and it's all because of the check valve.
yeah,
And like I said, the guy who did the inspection when he was here, he said that one of the operating systems over there has 2 check valves in it and one is not working properly. The other one is working properly. Or it was, one wasn't working properly, but the 2 were. I can't remember exactly what he said, but he says we have 2 check valves that are working. And that's what the state requires. So I'll try and get in touch with them again.
We're compliant.
that's good.
Yeah. So we want to move into an executive session?
Personnel. For personnel.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so then.
And Jenny will leave, to include the board.